go. There we go. All right, all right. Welcome, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. So glad to see you, and so glad you can see me. We are coming at you live today. Me and my man John Schutte here. We're gonna have some dialogue just around some very interesting things that are happening in the closer game. If you are in business and you are looking to hire closers, or if you are a self-proclaimed such animal of a closer, then you might want to tune into this conversation because we're going to break down a few things for you. Some things that'll be interesting to hear, some things that may piss you off, and that's all good. It's just all about some good dialogue here. But everything we're sharing today is just from what we are seeing on the front lines happening day to day with salespeople in the virtual world primarily is what we're talking about. But we're gonna highlight some things that you may already know or may not, and will be very enlightening. But I can promise you this: everything we're sharing is simply from what we have seen happen, stuff that we deal with on a daily basis, and stuff that we are actively working to solve. So you'll benefit. So stick around. We're just going to jam. There's not a very specific agenda on this except for us to talk and you to listen. And of course, whichever platform that we're on various different, streaming into various different groups. Feel free follow along in the chat, and anything you put in the chat that if we don't catch it right now while we're live, we will definitely come back and make sure that no question gets unanswered, no comment um, gets left alone. Even if you want to say some things, just don't say anything bad about my mom, my wife, my kids, and I'm good. We'll be all right. So feel free to argue, disagree. We're totally down with all of that. We all want to hear everybody's perspective. So if we should be live in Facebook. Yep, we're in my group here page. Do you have what you need there, John? You're all live on your side?
I am, yeah, I'm good. I don't see the live on my end, but I see that you're streaming, so I think we're good. And we
Okay.
can handle anything we need to handle later.
Okay. Sounds good. So, yeah, do me a favor, wherever you are tuning in from, just type in live. If you're watching this live right now, and you see the little red live button, you know it's live. If not, you see the recorded version of it, just say listening in on the recording. But either way, let us know that you're here. Don't be one of those quiet, passive people in the corner that we don't really know what to think of you, because we don't want to have to go and wonder what she's looking at. So make sure you have some stuff to offer. And again, all comments, all questions are relevant and valid and will be addressed. So, I'll tell you just real quick, most of you know who we are, but let's give you the quick overview and what's the frame and the context of my end of this conversation. And as you know, Cindy and I spend a lot of time growing and scaling sales teams, working with founders. We build, legendary enterprises for visionary founders, ideally focusing on people who are working towards masterful world-class exits. And what we have recognized in, over a decade of stepping in to run and build sales divisions, recruit sales teams, run and optimize them, is that overwhelmingly companies are just not ready for a sales team. And so there's a double end of this conversation. The companies are not actually ready for salespeople. They think that if you just throw enough salespeople at their pile of leads, that all problems will be solved. And well, we already know that's not a thing. And you can make really fantastic, talented human beings become extremely average when you do that. But then on the other side of the equation is the salespeople themselves. And the closer industry has gone through some changes in the last decade that have had me concerned for a while, but we're starting to see the fruit of those changes really start costing people right now. And that's a bit of what we're going to talk about because the sales closer industry has been sold a bill of goods that all you got to do is show up to a calendar full of highly qualified appointments and the world is your oyster. And we're going to have a conversation today a little bit about what is wrong with some of that thinking and why and how. So, John, tell them just a quick bit about you.
Yeah, so I am I'm just here hanging out with Jim. I don't know anything about any of this stuff. No, I work with closers and with business owners on their mindset, thinking through growing their business, that sort of thing. And that's really the main thing I help with. And in watching how reps operate. It's how everybody operates, but the thing is your income is affected whenever your mind gets in the way with sales. If you're like, I don't know, an accountant, as long as you can get the numbers right, you're going to keep your job, right? But if you're a salesperson, if everything's not lining up, it's because you got in your way somehow mentally, and then it fucks you up. Whenever, can I use bad language here? Is that
Go
I already
ahead.
said
Go ahead.
yeah. And you can talk bad about my mom if you want to, but I might beat you up. Okay. That's my disclaimer. All right. But basically, whenever salespeople are going into roles, what I've found, I was a closer for 4 years. I sold cars, insurance, I sold merchant services, all unsuccessfully, by the way, very bad at it. I sold, what the heck else did I sell? I sold, um, uh, I sold pools. The world's most expensive above ground pool, $21,471 in someone's home with a 90-minute presentation. So the old fashioned way of selling, where you go pitch and then you objection handle and you ask barely any questions, right? And what I found is two things. Salespeople lack aggression. They don't dial the leads. I love the whole call the damn leads, like that whole phrase, because that's really what most closers need to do is they get lazy, like you were saying, they have people on their calendar, and then they just get fed like a little piggy. Like they're the king here with their big cape, and they're like, oh, gobble, 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 get more leads. What? You don't have leads for me? And they look around all befuddled and then they get upset at the company whenever they have 10,000 leads in the CRM that they could be dialing, and they're wasting the company's money and time and resources. So, my perspective is coming from I'm the guy helping these sales reps and these business owners with their mindset. And I see exactly, I know exactly why they're doing that. I know why they do that, unfortunately, um, why they don't dial, why they don't do these things. And it's just a function of the mind, unfortunately. And you can get rid of it, but like that's the thing is like it's still there, and everybody has a mind, which means that most salespeople, if they haven't gotten far enough out of their mind, they're not going to perform well. And that's why I guess, in this conversation, that's where I'm coming from. Is I just talk
Yeah.
to people, mental
Yeah.
problems all the time.
Good stuff. Totally. And it's all relevant. It's all part of the soup, right? It's all baked into the pie. Tony, real quick, um, because John's talking audibly on his phone, but he's visually on his computer. I see on the visual on the streaming, it looks like it's coming the phone. So is there a way we can switch the what's streaming so that we can see his his beautiful locks and all of
Yeah,
that, you know?
yeah. I build this whole office, and then everything decides to break, and no matter what I do to fix it, it doesn't fix. So, if you have something good to say, something will try and keep you from saying it.
Yeah.
So, no matter what it is. But yeah. I mean, I'm cool, Jim. Either way, if it's just a black hole on it, I can live with that.
Yeah. So there's a lot of places that this conversation can go, but there are some highlights that we want to tap into. Um, and so again, the themes we've already highlighted. That's what's going on. But what I want you to tap into is recognizing that what sold in the past isn't what is going to sell in the future. And there's two sides of the fence here because, some people it's like, well, the fundamentals of sales don't ever change. Sales will always
Mhm.
be sales and will always be the same thing. And yes, that's true. We focus heavily on principles versus tactics and strategies because tactics and strategies change all the time. Principles don't. And so we lean into that. But there are some realities to be mindful of in the marketplace now, in that the world has changed so fast in the last decade. Things that used to take 10 years to move are now moving in 10 months and 10 weeks because of AI and technology and automation. So things that were a fad, you got to pay attention to fads and trends because they come and go quickly. Which ones to jump on, which ones fit, and which ones make sense, which ones are going to cost you. And what I recognize is as the resident old guy here. When my first sales job back in 1989, I walk into offices and they were given a phone book. They say, "Here's your phone book, right? These are your leads," and then this thing called a rotary phone, right, where we used to dial phones. If we were lucky, we had push buttons, but There was no cell phones, there was no internet, there were no CRMs because the internet wasn't even a thing, right? So we had to go, selling meant going finding people to sell to. It didn't mean waiting for somebody to come in the door and tell you they want to buy something. And so it's just been a different realm. It was either call through the phone book to find them or, you know, put your feet to the pavement and go find them. And that was just a normal thing. And so the beauty of that is it blessed us with that skill set to be able to have to go find the buyer. And then we became the funnel without really knowing what a funnel was at the time. I had to qualify them. I had to source them, assess them, make sure that they were ready. I had to sort them. What were the most priority leads? Which were the ones that were going to need follow up? Which ones were ready to buy and which ones needed what? Um, and so all of those things build a well-rounded skill set into a professional. And it wasn't because I was trying to be, because I knew if I learned how to sell today, I wouldn't want to qualify a bunch of people. I'd be like, yeah, give me a bunch of a calendar full of appointments. Hallelujah. Let's make that happen. And so that becomes the expectation. And if you're somebody, who have sold through the dot-com era crash, I've sold through the mortgage real estate era in 2008 and watched and sold through that crash and then sold through COVID and watched all of that stuff, turn the whole world upside down. And so if you have been in the wild, wild west of selling for the last 10 years or less, then you've really never known a bad time. You haven't known what it is to sell through gas prices at $12 a gallon, interest rates at 18%, things that happened that actually happened in our lifetimes, just not in any recent lifetimes. And so we've had to learn through how to navigate all of those crazy things in a sales environment and still have to sell things because people still needed to buy them because they still needed solutions and we still needed revenue and the world still had to go on. Right now, it's like, oh no, rates are above 5%. Whatever will I do? Do what we all did back in the day, right? And if people aren't supremely qualified, does that mean that they don't deserve your attention, your time, and the opportunity for you to position clearly and qualify better? No, it just means there's some skill sets that have to be sharpened differently and some agreements that have to be made differently. And one of those agreements is that I have to be here to be for the betterment of the company as well as myself. It can't just be that I'm here for my 1099 business because my business is what matters first, right? So what's the thought process behind a lot of that, John, that you hear? See?
Um, Let me. I'm currently creating a course right now, and it's called the Close Rate Repair Program. And I wrote down what is sales, and I realized it was actually way simpler. As a salesperson, here's all. Let me know if there's anything else, Jim, by the way, that I can add to this list. But here's just about everything that you can do as a salesperson. I'm going to show you how simple your job is. And the reason why I'm showing this to you is not to make you feel stupid, but the issue is your mind comes in and makes you think it's more complex because of all the emotions and all that kind of shit. And then because we're in a world of short attention spans, men being weak, right? And they think women are better at sales and more aggressive at sales than men are a lot of the times because the men are weak and have been feminized by the culture, right? And since men are the majority of salespeople, that means that the majority of salespeople now are going to be underperforming. Because a salesperson previously meant you, like, this is what I did whenever I sold pools. I was terrified, like shaking in my boots, sweating, sitting in my car trying to pump myself up. I couldn't get myself to knock a door. It was too scary, So I found other sales roles, and but the thing is, if I started in sales 20 years earlier, that's not a thing. You just go do it. You do it scared, right? You just get yourself to do it, and that was the operating basis. So people have become weaker and weaker and weaker. And there's this whole thing where, oh, what about your emotions and all that? Well, you aren't your emotions. So if you spend all this time worrying about how you feel and your emotions and your thoughts aren't you, your emotions aren't you. You're a spiritual being who has a mind, and in your mind, there are emotions and thoughts and feelings and problems. And to the degree that you identify with your mind, you will have those problems. But if you find a way to not identify with your mind and get into present time and look at the prospect across the table from you, it's quite simple. And here's literally all you need to do to be good at sales. Okay. Dial, text, email, send DMs, send letters, send gift baskets, send holiday and birthday cards. We haven't done that in a while, right? That's a thing of the past, right? Follow up. So follow up in any way. It does smoke signals. Who cares? Initiate a conversation. Ask questions. Listen. Seek to understand. Get signed contracts. Explain contracts. Adjust contracts. Collect cash. Make payment plans. Pitch. Handle objections. Handle obstacles, which there is a huge difference on those. Because most people aren't giving an objection. An objection means that you're directly opposed to getting started. Most of the time, 95% of the time, it's an obstacle. I want to buy, but I can't because of this. That's an obstacle. That's not an objection. Making content to be useful and to shift beliefs. This is one thing that salespeople now can do more than ever. This is what I was doing in my last role is I was sending text and emails. And if we didn't have um, content inside the company to shift beliefs, I would go find a Hormozy video or this guy video or that guy video and send it to them to shift their belief because the belief needed to be shifted either way, right? And I had a long list of people who needed that same belief shifted so they could buy. Okay, cool, sweet. I'm going to handle their objections that way in mass, right? That's the same thing as sending a follow-up letter. I'm almost done with the list, but it's creating your ideal client. This one's one of my favorites, salespeople. This is stupid fucking simple. You can literally take your camera that you make sales with and you can record like 6 videos and you just shift all the major beliefs that every one of your prospects always has that needs to be shifted on a sales call, and you can shift it yourself if your marketing doesn't. If something is going wrong in a company, you can either communicate with them to handle it or you handle it yourself. It doesn't mean you leave it unhandled. That is abdicating yourself from responsibility. You say it's the company's fault, it's marketing's fault. Oh, that's not my responsibility. I'm only supposed to take calls and sell. Okay, cool. You're fired. Get the fuck out of here. We hire people who take responsibility. We don't hire people who give away responsibility. Even though you're not doing marketing, I gave suggestions daily, and they loved it. And cash was flowing like crazy, right? Take and store notes. That's super important. People don't save their notes anymore. They don't handle a CRM properly. Jim, back in the day, your notes were your gold because it was the only way that you were going to reconnect with that person easily,
My
right?
notes were a freaking index card in a recipe
Yes,
box. That's what was my notes back
exactly.
in the day.
Right? And then let's see, manage and do admin tasks, complete end of day reports, study statistics. You need to know your stats, network, ask for referrals, and organize lead lists. Those are all of the actions. Let me know, Jim, if there's anything else. But those are all the actions you can do as a salesperson. Your job is not rocket science. You literally do not have to do complex equations to create money in your pocket and in the company's pocket. Your only job to the company is to produce revenue and cash and close deals. And your job, by the way, huge misunderstanding here, your job to the prospect is one single thing: give them a good experience. That's it. Your job to the company is to close them, but your job to the prospect is to give them a good experience, right? Where they love talking to you. No matter how many times you call them, they want to talk to you again. They're just having a good old time, right?
Yep.
So your job's simple. So anything that gets in the way of you doing that, for example, if you're a closer, this is what pisses me off the most. And I'm going to wager Jim's here with me on this one, is that your closer, your calendar is halfway empty and you waste the other 4 hours of your day and you don't dial, you don't text, you don't like anything. Send 500 texts. Who cares, man? I can send 300 in an hour and a half. So if you're telling me you can't send 500 in a day, that's bullshit. Okay.
Yep.
And you can set up email sequences, text sequences. You can learn how to use your CRM and make 4 times more money, and you don't have to increase your close rate because close rate's a vanity metric. Imagine if you just increase the total number of closed deals you have. Who cares about your close rate?
Right.
That's all you
And
need to
and
do.
your the employer is your founder of your company you're working for is not going to care about that either. What happens is this is the logic, and that's a fantastic list as you share, man. I love it. Because yeah, there's probably a few things I can add on, but essentially everything's a subset of all those other things. And so, but you want to think about this because the average we talked to the reason we wanted to bring this conversation is because we have conversations with salespeople at scale daily. We have conversations with founders at scale daily. We happen to be ideally suited, we walk the lane between the both, being the bridge between the two. And we see the good, the bad, and the ugly of both sides. Every single scenario that comes up with a campaign, with a salesperson, with a client opportunity, I always see the business owner side. I always see the salesperson side. I always see the client side because all of them are essential to the process. So I'm always like, okay, great. How do we solve this for the founder? What does the founder need to do better? What does the salesperson need to do better? What is the experience that's being left apart here that the potential client, the prospective buyer, is not being that is being shortchanged and undervalued because everybody's so busy just trying to get the easiest path for themselves. And it's happening every single day. We see conversations in threads, in Facebook groups, and on billboards, wherever. And there's always this, man, salespeople just need to do better, or I can just go get another salesperson. The average founder sees salespeople, guys, and I don't care what people tell you publicly. I'm telling you what they tell us on a daily basis because they're frustrated. And when 100% of sales are not coming in and 100% of the money is going out to generate leads, everybody starts thinking extremes. So they automatically go, I can just get another person, or I'm paying them too much, or I'm this or I'm that. Essentially, what I hear, this is what Jim hears. Salespeople are a spatula. Open up your favorite utensil drawer and a whisker, a wire whisk, a wooden spoon, a spatula, fill in the blank. They all fit the same thing. And when things are not going well and founders are frustrated, salespeople are a spatula. They think, I'll just get another one. Just give me another one. Just give me another one. Right. And then we're out recruiting and training and hiring and sourcing and vetting and doing all of the things. And they're like, well, when we bring those on, we need to let go of the bottom two. Like, well, no, we're not going to dump the bottom two if they're performing at standard or above. We can dump the underperformers if there's not a way to get them to be an overperformer,
Yeah.
but they're not trash we're going to dispose of because we got a new rubber spatula and you want to get
Yeah.
rid of the metal one. I mean, we're not doing that, right? But they don't know. They're just freaking out because the results aren't coming in and they only know what they know and the salespeople only know what they know. So that's part of what this conversation is about, is bringing that to you. Um, because you have the opportunity as the salesperson to be the champion, the hero of the cause, not by closing sales. That is a function, that is your committed obligation. But to go above and beyond and be a valuable asset, a profit center for the company that says, I understand the entire journey you're on. I understand how to make sure that what I do is so valuable to you and the company and to the people that come into our world that you're going to never ever want to get rid of me. Hear me say this. Hear me to say this, guys. Closers, quote unquote. If you honestly believe that the fact that you can convert a sale, a qualified, highly qualified sale that's been walked to your doorstep, and you believe that that is the sum total of closing those sales makes you irreplaceable, you are very sadly mistaken. It makes you a commodity, and it means you're only as good as your last day, week, or month. And if you had a really good couple of months, then you may have a longer leash or a string to do some underperforming. But if you've been anything less than stellar, then often you're only as good as your last week. And just because they haven't replaced you doesn't mean they're not trying to. It's just a massive chore to do it. So often they'll tolerate what's there versus the pain of trying to find somebody new until that comes.
Yeah.
So I know that is, you're probably going, screw you, I convert, I'm an asset. Yeah, you are, you're an asset. You're freaking awesome. That's why I'm talking to you. If I didn't care, I wouldn't even be talking to you. It just replace you, right? So, along the lines you were talking about all the things that you need to be able to make a sale, and I often make this stuff so simple and dumb it down. You don't all the equipment, all the CRMs, all the qualifications, all the funnels, all the stuff. Awesome things to have as a nice to have. The only things you need is a pen, something to write on, and something to communicate with. That's all that's required to make a sale. And you may not even need something to communicate with if you're doing it in person, right? So it just requires you to be able to be present, clear, and know what is happening. Everything else is a nice to have. None of those are a must have. So what are people thinking right now, John, based on this, what how we've kind of jumped into this into the deep end? What are they thinking right now?
Thinking they might be. Um, they're like, this shit's stupid. I'm gonna go find an easier way to do it.
Yeah.
I don't want to do all this hard work. What? No, not me. No, because I'm the guy. No, because here's the thing. Um, no, I've done this. Like what you're describing, I'm like, yeah, no, I'm not a perfect sales rep either, right? I do know my operating basis in my last role. I'm pretty proud of that, but I still could have done better. I was dialing between calls and I was sending like 300 texts at night, or in the morning or whenever it was, and I was doing as much as I could. Well, no, technically, no. There's always more you can do. You can automate the texts. You have all these fancy functions and features, right? You ask me what are they thinking? Well, they should feel guilty. That's probably the appropriate response because you're calling them out on something that they're doing that they shouldn't be doing, or not something that they're not doing that they should be doing. Which the majority of salespeople just have a long list of things they're not doing that they should be doing, and they aren't. The explanation you gave, about 95% of the list that I read out is a pen, something to write on, right? A place to take notes, basically, right? And then a way to communicate. And all of these actions are done uh, in some form of that medium. So it's not really. Uh, I'm not arguing with you at all. That's exactly. That's just boiling it down. So um, I like the velocity that was depicted at the beginning of Wolf of Wall Street whenever he walked into his first stock trading floor. And there's all of these people in that room. And I think they said something about like 400 dials a day or whatever it was. And their job was to just sell stocks to as many people as they humanly possibly could. And they got a phone book or a list of leads, right? And it was all on paper. And then their job was to look at stocks and sell. That's it. And that was their job. They didn't have, I mean, honestly, whenever I first started sales, I went through Grant Cardone's all of his books, but specifically I think it's like Closer Academy something or whatever it is. It's a book that has like 100 different handlers in it. I think one way is to handle a rejection or something like that. But that single-handedly, if you pair that with like how we do sales today, that's aggressive sales,
Right.
right? Cool, that didn't work. Let me try another one. Let me try another one. Let me try another one. And it's bite and don't let go. And most salespeople never bite, right? They only nibble, right? That's what they do. They don't play a big scary game of sales where you're slinging deals and you got 16 phones ringing and there's all this chaos. They try and make sure that every single step of every single thing they do is perfect. I do most of my prospecting in the DMs. I fuck up conversations constantly. I say weird shit, make people uncomfortable because I'm making jokes and stuff. And obviously, some of that's going to rub people the wrong way. And I'm doing it to like 100 people in a day, right? I'm talking that's 100 different conversations or however many it might be if I'm setting, right? And you look at that and then compare that to a normal closer's activity. I know
Right.
one like, yeah, I don't have enough calls. I'm great at one call closing. He doesn't want to follow up with leads. And I had to like hop on 3 different calls with him to get him to just dial 5 times. It's just so hard because the ego is so big because you think that you're more important than your job. That you're supposed to what be CEO by now, but it's usually the guy at the bottom who criticizes the guy at the top, right? So you're below a salesperson because a salesperson does all those things that I listed out. And if you aren't doing those things that I listed out, you are below a salesperson. You are not in sales. I don't know what your job is, but they hired you and you're not doing your job. You are hired to generate opportunity and close opportunity. If you're not doing both of those 8 hours a day, 5 days a week, or I don't care if it's 6 hours and you outperform the rest of the team and you're doing it really good and pushing units, who
Get a
cares?
little. Come a little closer. It feels like you're getting distant to the phone.
I don't care if you're working 6 hours a day and but you're pushing units. Like it doesn't really matter the amount of time you put in. It matters the output. And the majority of salespeople, here's the cycle. Okay, you do something you shouldn't have done, or you don't do something you should have done, and then you become critical of other people because they're getting close to finding out every time somebody's talking to Jim and you're talking to a sales rep. You know what your standards are. He knows what your standards are. And when he's around you, regardless if you ever bring it up, he feels like he's going to get found out. So it's like a tiger backed in a corner. He starts clawing and snarling and making you wrong and saying this is too hard and look at the script and look at the marketing and look at this and look at that. But I did everything that I could, and that's bullshit, and they know it. And they're lying to themselves. And the reason why they can't ever solve their situation is because they don't have a way to handle all that long list of wrongdoing. There's a way to actually clear that up and have it stop weighing on you to where you stop doing it. But it's a habit. It's a habitual thing. As I wake up today, I look at my phone, I say I'm going to work 8 hours, I say I'm going to work hard and totally crush it today. And then you know you're lying to yourself because you didn't do that the last 3 years you were in sales. You've been riding the comfort coaster, right? And that's what you've been doing. And then you sit down, you take some calls, you do all right, your aggression's pretty low, but if I, it's weak. The whole thing's weak. Men used to charge into battle in war and fight to the death, and now they can't pick up a phone to save their life, right? And that's because of all their mental shit. And because we consume so much social media, it starts weighing us down and pushing us down and pushing us down and pushing us down, and we get heavy under the weight of all of our thoughts and feelings and emotions because they're constantly triggered off by something in our environment. Right? We see, okay, hot girl. Oh God, I shouldn't be looking at that. That's inappropriate. And then I see this thing about sales, and then he's telling me that they watch a reel that's like this, right? And calling out the dumb shit that they're doing, and then they feel bad about that, and then they keep taking shots at guilt and fear and shame, right? And then now that's your whole day. And the easiest way to solve that is to just change the behavior, right? We can clear out all the mental shit, that's fine, and that's cool, but you still have to change the behavior anyway, right? And if you just worked 8 hours, you're going to go to bed exhausted, you're going to feel accomplished, and you're going to feel like you deserve the other 8 hours of the day off, right? But if you don't work the full 8 hours, you don't give it your all, even if you shit sucked and you didn't do good and you didn't close any deals, who cares? But you gave it your all today, even though your all today was 40%, but you did it for 8 hours and you worked every minute of every hour. And then you're not going to be thinking about work when you're hanging out with your family and you're looking at your kid pretending to be present, but you're actually somewhere else. And you're actually thinking about your paycheck and how you're not saving enough money and you're not being able to build wealth because you can't make the money that you want because you're fucking around and you're fucking around and you feel bad about it and you know it's your mind. And that's all it is, right? People, Jim, I'll tell you, people do not want to act the way that they're acting with you. And on your sales teams, they don't want to do that. Okay. It feels horrible to them. They feel horribly guilty. And it's really hard to admit because it's become a thing that they've done for years, right? Being mediocre. They're making 10, 20 grand a month and they're still being mediocre. Because if I go and ask those people who are performing a little bit better, they'll say, I still got more in me. Then why isn't it out yet? Right? There's
Right.
still some kind of stuff, right? So that's the issue. It's not that they hate you, Jim. Maybe they do. Maybe or something. But it's just the fact that they've done it and they keep doing it because they've done it before and they can't get themselves to stop. And unfortunately, that's the way it is. But that's where we're at.
That's dude, so good, man. This whole last 5 minutes just was just a clinic in observational behavior. I mean, it's just watching what people do, watching how we react, watching how people think. Because none of this is saying, guys, none of this. Please, I want your buttons to be pushed. If you haven't got your buttons pushed by now, I don't know what else we're going to say that's going to. But we're just trying to hit what we know is real and true because you're capable of more, right? I'm all about right now. We're pushing a big run on anti-closer. Like our clients, we don't, what they say, oh, we need closers. No, we don't. We want salespeople because closers are just a different mindset altogether. And I know that, again, these are triggers, deal with it, we'll talk. But It's about a full cycle salesperson. This is a professional salesperson. Selling used to mean bringing in clients, winning customers, right? Finding them, sourcing them, and bringing them in. It used to mean creating a sale. And there's a difference between creating a sale and closing a sale, right? If the founder is spending tens of thousands of dollars to bring qualified leads to your calendar, you damn sure better be able to close. And the fact that 10% is actually like an acceptable standard on cold traffic, 20% is like a high benchmark of success for that. That is a sad commentary on the state of the industry, whichever industry you're in, because in the remote closer space, in the virtual selling space, that has become normal. As long as I got 1 out of 5, all I see when I see 20% conversions, I see 80% of people that are just gone and lost opportunities because nobody's working the pipeline. Because literally, I mean, this isn't stuff we make up. Like you said, I love the way you just addressed, John, that you already know this is true. It's inside of you how you reconciling how you're dealing with this truth, but it's true. And I can't tell you how many people I have heard just in the last 30 days alone. We're constantly recruiting for growing sales teams, et cetera. And the moment we say, yes, the expectation of the role is that in your downtimes, you are to be outreaching to the list to get more people on the calendar. The company standard is four sales a day or 4 conversations a day. 5. We'll do everything we can to put them on your calendar, which means some days you may have 5 appointments, some days you may have 2. What are you going to do on the days you have 2 to ensure that you have 5? And when somebody cancels or reschedules or no shows, what are you doing in that 45 minutes? Because I know we all know you didn't have any other plan because up until 3 minutes ago, you planned to be on that call for 45 minutes. And then what are you doing? Are you just working your same 11 leads that are in your pipeline? Or are you bringing more people to the table? Are you working to create a sale? Or have you decided, I'm 1099? I don't do meetings. And I'm only telling you this stuff because I hear it literally, quote unquote, from salespeople, no, from closers who say, I don't do meetings. I don't want to be in your meetings. I'm 1099. I don't want to be in your meetings. I don't want to be dialing. I don't want to be part of your admin team. I want to close sales. Well, closing sales is not the same as creating sales. And if all you can do and all you can bring to the table is the ability to close a highly qualified lead that is set on your calendar, that's great. Just don't confuse that with being a sales professional. Just say that you are a commodity. And because we all know that you're not going to do that every day of your life, every week of the year, every month of the year, which means you are susceptible. And my mission is that you are extremely valuable and irreplaceable, which means you are doing all the things necessary. Means that, you know what, when the founder, I had somebody reach out to me because he literally was, I was on a campaign and I was getting 2 to 5 appointments, or I was getting 3 to 5 appointments a day. It has dried up to like 1 or 2 a day. So I'm looking for another gig. I said, you have single-handedly defined my biggest concern with the closer industry. It got rough. This guy has fed you like a king for 6 months to 12 months. And now that it's got dry for a month, you're heading for the exit. Where the hell is your loyalty? How come you can't say, hey man, while you're figuring out the leads, I'm going to call the list. We're going to get some revenue happening. Where's your contribution to be part of the solution? Instead, you're jumping ship to come to somebody like me who's promising you an opportunity. Only the difference is I'm being crystal clear and honest, telling you up front. The standard is 4 or 5 appointments a day, but there's not a guarantee. We don't just hand them to you. You are expected to bring some of those to the table yourself. And I had 24 conversations, such conversations in DMs in one day. 3 people became an appointment. The others ghosted because I put together a 60-second video that said, this is what we do. This is what's expected. Only respond if you're still interested. They all took off. They're like, hell no, I don't want to make no dials, even though they're 2 actual leads that have been paid to be there. And I think I've used this visual with you before, but imagine that the founder is spending all of his resources or her resources to bring
Mhm.
people from far and wide to all across the world to where right onto the shores of the beach where you're sitting. And all he's asking you to do is please wade into the water a little bit and grab this person and pull it up so you can have a conversation. And you're sitting in your chair going, nope, they got to get all the way out of the water and all the way up to me before I will talk to them. Think of how ridiculous that sounds. But that's what it sounds like coming from you, the closer. It says, I ain't going to call these people. I won't qualify these on my appointment, on my calendar all day.
Good.
But that's what I hear, guys, and it's challenging and it's frustrating because I get the plight of the salesperson, and we love salespeople. We built this business for salespeople, but we understand reality. And it's one thing if somebody's just throwing a pile of leads, backing up a pile of leads on the table, and then taking off and says, "Do your best, man. There's money in there." But they're not. They're spending more money on qualification, more money on AI, more money on Google ads, more money on YouTube ads. They're spending money and they're not perfect. They've got a marketing team and a marketing company and an agency and an ad buyer. They got all these people that are trying to test things and do things and make stuff work. And instead of complaining, are you giving them feedback from the conversations you're having so they can use some better, they can infuse some of what the people are saying to adjust the marketing? Or are you just saying, hey, you guys need better leads? Or you guys need better qualification? Or where's my ROI of my time? Where's the ROA of my money? It cost me $247 to get that person to book a call with you. It cost me $327 to get him to show up in a conversation with you. All right. And if you had to pay that $327, something tells me you might be willing to wade out into the water and go get a little bit wet and pull that sucker up so you can talk to him. But instead, you're
Yeah.
just waiting for the deal.
Why don't we do it that way? It's pretty aggressive. I like it. Um, can I hop in? Because I'm gonna forget all the shit that I want to say,
Go for it.
and
Go for
um,
it.
that's really good. Okay, first thing. All of you, mysterious, not looking at the camera in your profile picture, wanting to date multiple women. And I'm calling out a very specific group of people because I've had many of them as my clients, and they are the hardest to work with because they are the most entitled. Okay, they're like, my personal branding needs to make me seem like I am better than other people. So their life is based around status. It's not based around doing something for others. They will only do something for others to the degree that it benefits them, right? So you have all these people. This is the whole wave of Andrew Tate's, little baby Andrew Tate's that are roaming the internet, right? Because they think the world was built for their pleasure. And then they treat people that way. So they think that your company exists to put money in their pocket, but they misunderstand. They're being hired. A team is like a family that has a common goal and a mission. And the person who I'm talking about right now, you will never have a family with this attitude. Your wife will leave you if you maintain this attitude, this dark, self focused attitude about life. It's disgusting. And I used to have it. So I know. I know exactly how you think, right? And I know exactly what you do on the weekends. And I know exactly what you're not proud of in your free time that you do. And I know you feel bad about that. And you have to cover it up by making lots of money and then making the company wrong for all the things that they do. And Jim, I don't know if you know the kind of person that I'm talking about, but they're usually
Yes.
between uh, 18 and 28. I don't really encounter them much older than that, right? And once you get a little bit older, you have a wife and kids, all that stuff kind of, you forget about it, right? Some of it you keep, which unfortunately sucks, but that's why I switched my market to mostly married men in sales because they have a higher sense of responsibility and they aren't just about themselves. They have to take care of a family. So their responsibility towards others is higher. And as a young guy who goes into sales, you got into sales not because you wanted to make money. You got into sales because you wanted to buy cars and watches and be able to afford going to the club and having really pretty women around you so that way you could seem more important than other people and you could look good on social media. And you are horribly depressed inside and falling apart. And you're taking it out on the people around you, taking it out on Jim, who I like Jim's philosophy. I like your philosophy, Jim, that somebody should be well-rounded, right? I'm talking about a well-rounded human. You're talking about a well-rounded salesperson, right? And you can't have one without the other. All of the salespeople that I've met who are very hedonistic, right? I'm making all this money so I can serve myself, right? So I can increase my level of pleasure, physical, whatever it is, so I can, go do drugs or whatever it is and justify it because I'm
I wrote down when we talked last week, I wrote down what you said. You said they were a bunch of little hedonistic sales babies.
yes,
I thought that's such a cool line, dude.
yes, hedonistic sales babies. That's what you are, right? So there's these hedonistic a little baby drinking and partying, but they're controlled by their vices, right? They can't control their physical urges, they can't control their mental urges. And then a very specific instance. I have a guy, he's doing really well in my program. He tripled his income in like 90 days or whatever. And all we did was mental work. Then what he says is, I'm going to go buy another sales program. And then there was 8 months where he made zero progress and things deteriorated. He stopped doing the mental work. He stopped doing what worked. And Jim, you like data, and whenever you have something that works, you double down on it, right? So his thing is, I don't see John, the guy who is supposed to be helping me with my mindset, showing bottles and girls and cars and all those kinds of things. So he must not be the kind of guy that I want to be because I want people to worship me. That's what those people think about themselves. They're prioritizing self worship and other people worshiping them over their service to others. And
Let me
that's what,
pause, hold that thought real quick because I don't want people to check out because you're not an 18 to 28-year-old hedonistic sales baby
yeah,
who Andrew Tate fan.
yeah.
Just be really honest with yourself. Nobody else is around. We can't see you. It's just you and the dog or you in the car. Um, is there a little portion of this truth that is inside of you, even if you're a 45-year-old married guy or 50-year-old woman? Is there a little piece of this truth that is inside of you? Because I'm guessing, only because I don't know for sure, it's inside of all of us a little bit.
Validation. They want to chase validation, right? That's why people want to. I asked a guy, Jim, this is great. I don't know if you've ever done this. I don't know if it's going to be useful. I'm going to get back on track. Don't worry. So I asked a guy, one of these hedonistic sales babies. I said, "What's your goal?" And he said, "I want to be number one on the leaderboard." And I said, "Why?" And then he thought about it because we'd already been talking about validation. He said, it's for validation." And I said, "Okay, then what's your goal instead of that? If that's not the goal, then what's the goal? Because validation can't be the goal, right? You're going to drive yourself crazy, insane." Um, and then he's like, "To be the best." And I said, "Why is that the goal?" And he said, "Validation." And he couldn't conceive a goal that wasn't that didn't have to do with him getting validation from others. And his problem in his life was that he kept comparing himself against other sales reps, and he couldn't perform because every time they made a sale, he got in his head, right?
Yeah.
And I can also talk about older demographics because the older demographics is they run out of steam, right? 28 and above, even 25 and above, run out of the fire in the belly. They once had it, or maybe they've never really had it, where they wake up every day and they're ready to work immediately. They don't got to do any weird morning routines. They're ready to work, and they're ready to work because they're excited and in love with what they're doing, and they can't stop playing the game. Whenever you are, let's say, a soccer player. Oh no, no, Kobe. Kobe's a good example, right? Waking up at like 8 a.m. and training until midnight or 4 a.m., right? Waking up at 4 a.m. and then going to bed whenever he went to bed because I forgot the details. Thank you, Jim. But he was doing it because he loved the game. Yes, he wanted to be like Michael Jordan. Maybe that wasn't the best thing for him. It did make him a good athlete, but he wanted to play the game. I would say Michael Jordan's a better example because he wasn't comparing himself. At least not in all the stuff that I've researched about him. He wasn't comparing himself to somebody else through that whole time. He was just trying to be the best, right? But he loved playing the game, right? There's that look in your eyes. It's a ferocity whenever you're playing the game, and you're like, I will destroy anything in my path because life is you have a goal, you move towards it, you put all your attention and energy towards that one single goal, not 15 goals, one single goal. You put in barriers to keep out things that would keep you from putting energy towards your goal. So it's like porn and playing on your phone and all that kind of stuff, or watching playing war games all the time, right? That actually sends you to a lower state. And you put in barriers. You don't do those things. And then whenever an obstacle comes up, you move it out of your way. That's life. You will be living when you're doing that a lot. But if you're doing the exact opposite, which most people do, is they do all the things they know they shouldn't be doing, they aren't moving towards a big purpose that they care about. And then when they join a team, they treat everybody like objects. That everybody else on the team, the operations team, you're here to serve me. Setters, you're here to serve me. You're here to put calls on my calendar. You don't tell me what to do. And they're, somewhat docile towards the manager as needed. But on the further end, it's just a totally beaten down middle-aged man who's just been in sales and has had too many slumps, but he used to be good at sales. I've watched that happen a lot.
Yeah.
Um, where get more in your head, more in your head, more in your head over time, and you don't have a way to get out. So you get heavier. You collect a mass throughout your lifetime, and you get heavier. Right? You ever see people in their 80s when they're bent over,
Yeah.
and yeah, they've collected a shit ton of mass. They're so heavy they can't stand up straight. Right? So you see homeless people. They're so heavy with mass, they look more part of the sidewalk than they do a human. And that's what's happening to these sales reps. They come in, they have no life in them, no love. They don't want to wake up and talk to people because it's exciting. They
Yeah.
want to wake
And
up.
and you know where a lot of those guys end up? I did a lot of this in my career.
Yeah,
Um, I would salesperson and top performing, and then you get frustrated with how the company's running things. So you say, screw it, I'll just go into management. And then you go into management and you realize you hate every minute of it. And so you know that as a producer, managing is not for you. But when you start seeing guys who spent their careers producing, but at a mid level, they end up what I call not, they don't aspire to management, they survived to management. And they were in it so long and they just got tired of underperforming or just performing just good enough that they said, let me go into management. And then they become your managers and they can't manage top performers. They just know how to manage to be a company guy.
yeah.
And there's a lot of that in the industry, you know. And you just guys, the take what we're saying, just look for the truth in it because we're not a single thing we're sharing with you here is something we thought was just a cool idea. We're sharing it because we literally see it every day. This is what people are telling me, either directly or in emails or in conversations or on posts and stuff. This industry is very, very at a massive crossroads. And we want to make sure you win. We are here for you. We are here for you to be a powerful part of the ideal company's long-term solution, right? And if you love the Lone Ranger, go be a gunslinger, gun for hire, um, closer, top tier closer, knock yourself out. That's cool. Then just this isn't for you. This, come back because in a year or two, when all these companies are finally shutting people down because they think that AI can replace you. And if the only skill you bring is the ability to move people across the finish line, you will be replaced sooner than later. Versus the person who is a full cycle, full functioning professional who is an asset and a profit center to the company because they are part of decreasing client acquisition costs and increasing upsells and cross sells and bringing more people to the table because you're willing to go out to the buoys to go bring people in instead of standing there on the dry sand and hoping they come and make it to you. And running due diligence. When's the last time you've run due diligence on your prospects the day before? You actually look them up, go into their files, go see where they are, go what's the journey they've been on? Have they opted into webinars here before? And what was the promise of that webinar versus this one? And have you looked at their personal profile to find out that they've got 5 kids and they're trying to build a business or they're doing something with children in Africa, whatever. What do you know about them before they show up? Or are you just showing up because you're a product in search of a prospect and you're just hoping that the company did everything they could to bring this highly qualified lead to you so that you can just slay the dragons and bring them across the finish line? And there's nothing wrong with doing that. That's part of the job. That just is not the whole job, right? Is to deliver a powerful, great experience. And if you guys are getting hungry, grab a snack and come in because we're just getting warmed up. We didn't have a timeline on this, so we just want to share. There's going to be some more lives that we're going to do on this here, but we're trying to talk this out because it's important. It's a conversation, right? It's a conversation. It's not a statement.
Yeah, what he said. Oh my God, this is good. I like this. This is fun. Well, I don't want to keep beating people down
Yeah,
because I can. The thing is actually, the thing that makes someone ashamed is that they did something wrong and that they know it wasn't them. It was something in their mind that caused them. They feel real bad about it, right? Because if people aren't inherently evil, people are inherently good. And that means that if you're doing something which is harmful to your goals and the things you want to accomplish, it's not you. It's not you at all. It's your mind, right? The self sabotage, the procrastination, the fear, the guilt, all that kind of stuff. It's not you, right? And can I make a couple suggestions for people to do like on a daily basis, something that they can do to help?
yeah, go for it.
Okay. So one thing that I have my clients do, I do it. I'm going to go on one of these as soon as we end because it's immensely valuable. Before you go to bed, and make sure you're like if you're in a not so safe area of the world. I had one guy tell me he's in South Africa. I can't go walk at night. And I'm like, okay, then walk during the day, but go for a walk. Don't look at your phone and walk in a new direction every day until you get tired and then walk back. And if you do that, what'll happen is you're going to start untriggering all your mental stuff because your attention's getting out instead of into your head. You're getting out into your environment. So get out, smell the flowers, touch the leaves, like pet a tree. I don't care, man. Be weird about it. Go shake hands with people, say hi, be social, increase your affinity and your love towards your environment, and increase your communication towards your environment. Because the thing is, sales is I'm in building this program, Jim. I'm trying to like simplify everything about sales. I have found in everything that sales is only communication. That's all it is. There's nothing else that's part of it. That's not communication. Clicking a mouse is technically you're sending an impulse to the computer and the computer responds. That's a form of communication, just like sending an email, right? That's a form of communication. So everything you do is communication, and anything which you are not comfortable or anything with which you can communicate cannot bother you. So if you can't comfortably communicate with people, it will bother you and you won't dial easily, right? Another thing, so that's one thing, go on a daily walk and be as social with your environment as you can. Go touch it, go smell it, go listen to it, hear what sounds there are. The colors will get brighter. You'll have weird things maybe turn on in your body and they'll turn off by the end of the walk, and you'll feel better. You'll be out of your head. That's number one. Do that every single day of your life until you die, okay? Or until your body dies, right? Until you run it out. It's like an old computer, right? So until you got to get a new one. Number two, very simply, this is one thing that helped me immensely when I was dialing because I know it can be scary, especially if you dial a lot and even the next day you still feel nerves picking up the phone. What if this? What if that? And it starts coming in again. Just set an extremely strong intention. Intention, if you intend something to happen, it happens if you intend it to happen. If it didn't happen, you didn't have an intention for it to happen. It's extremely simple. And to the degree that you want to argue me on this, is to the degree that you want to abdicate responsibility. Because the fact of the matter is, you can't intend anything to happen, which means that everything in your life that's poor, that's not going well, is a factor of your intention. You caused it. And if you can take responsibility for that, that's what I help people do, is take responsibility for their life so that way it's easier, right? I have one thing that I can give them for free that they can do. It's called How to Solve Any Problem. Um, it's basically a training where you can solve any problem. That's it. That's the end of it. That's my pitch for it. Um, but the other thing, before you get on calls or do dials, set an extreme like I intend to close. I close. My close rate's almost 100%. I don't do high volume though, right? So I can't like whenever Jim's talking about a high volume sales rep. I own a business. My justification is that I own a business, so I don't need that many sales, right? I'm working privately, and the sales are much larger than like a two, three, four, $5,000 thing that a lot of people sell. I think you probably sell higher ticket stuff, but at the end of the day, sales is sales. I set an intention to close. I close every time. I've only had two people not close in the last 10 months. So before every call, set an intention. You don't have to intend for it to close. That might be too much, too far, too fast. Okay. We don't want to go out gradient, make it too difficult for you because then you'll get disappointed in yourself, right? Just like all those times that you plan out a big day to catch up on all your procrastination, you don't, and then you feel disappointed, right? Right? Yeah. Right. So it doesn't really help anything. So here's what you can do: intend to give the other person an amazing experience. They laugh, they smile, you're interested in them. Don't give a fuck about the sale. Okay. Whenever I hop on a call, my first question is, do you want to buy? That is my actual, I say, what's your intention? And then I say, usually when people come to this call, their intention is they want to buy, but they don't know how. And they have some kind of fear, some issue around money. And they have this preconceived notion they have to object and not buy. But if you want to buy, you can. I'm not going to get in your way. And then they have this whole weight lift off of them because they realize they can just buy, right? I'm saying that you can go try that. You can ask their intention. You can handle their intention. That's fine. But the simplest thing you can do is just give them a good experience and
That's
ensure,
amazing.
yeah, then that's it. And
Yep.
then if you're really excited to talk to people, which you should be after doing that, when you dial, my pickup rate, it said scam, not spam. It said scam on the caller ID when I would call people. And it said scam, and they still picked up. And I asked them every time I called them, I asked them, why did you pick up? It said scam. And they said, because I felt like I should. I felt like it was going to be a good conversation. So people can feel your energy on the other end of the phone before they even talk to you. Okay. Because you have no idea how big you are as a spiritual being. You have no idea what you can affect across the world. Okay.
Amen. That's so
It,
real, guys. It's huge. And that most salespeople have lost the sale before they ever dialed the call or showed up because you're showing up with this. I hope this is not another one of those calls. I hope I can make this thing work. I hope this isn't another non-qualified person or always. And you're putting an energy into this that's already going to fail. But not only that, most of the time that energy has nothing to do with you. So you're literally putting all the fault on them. You're saying, oh, they're not qualified. They're not ready. They're not motivated, instead of saying, so there's so much that can be turned around with that completely different intention and presence. And, and I would add to that, one of the biggest fundamental pieces that we add all the time is I find that most sales don't occur because most salespeople aren't telling the truth. And it's not that you're showing up lying like a manipulative salesperson. It's that you're not even telling the truth to yourself about how
yeah.
amazing the opportunity is, about how perfectly you're showing up going, man, I hope this guy's qualified, instead of saying, this person is absolutely supposed to be here on this call today because they're looking for something that I have the cure for. That you're bringing it. It's like you need to have clarity that they're supposed to be here, clarity that you are the ideal person to lead them through this conversation, and that the solution is the real cure for what ails them. And if
Yeah.
you believe all three of those things firmly when you show up, those conversations are completely different because you start out by telling yourself the truth. And then when you're willing to tell yourself the truth, you will relentlessly tell them the truth. Like, guess what? If you leave this call, I can't promise you this problem will ever be solved for you. If you work with me, I know that this problem is done because this is what we
Mhm.
do, right? That's not bold and brash, bold. That's telling the truth because you know it. Because you know how I also know you get off of those calls and you come and talk to me and say, here's what I should have said. Well, why the hell didn't you? That's the
Yeah.
whole point.
You
Don't
already know.
Yeah, don't go tell your team, your coach, you complain to the founder of the company. Tell the people on the line because they need to hear the truth because that's what's going to turn them around. The truth will set them free. And when you play below the surface and you're not willing to go there, they're not going to say, if you would have only told me the truth, I would have bought from you. You know what they say instead? I got to think about it.
Mhm.
I can't afford it. That's kind of rich for my blood. because they don't really know how to articulate what's actually going on, which is the fact that there's something off and they can't put their finger on it. So
Yes.
they're just going to say, I need to think about it.
Get what you put out. So you caused that to happen.
Yes.
You caused it.
Yep.
And you will never get better at sales if you cannot find a way to admit that you caused it. That's what responsibility is. It's admitting cause. It's saying, I done it. I done it. It was me. Sorry to cut you off. Keep going, Jim.
No, that's fine, dude. That's all good stuff. This is great conversation, man. I'll be honest, this is going better than I thought it was going to go when we were first talking about it. I'm like, this sounds like a good idea. Let's do it. But I love where it's at. And I want to hear from you. Put it in the chat. I don't care. No, uncensored, unfiltered. Just respond. Just tell us what the hell you're thinking
You
right
should things while they do that that I think would be really helpful. And anybody watching this, if you miss what I'm about to say because you're typing,
now.
it's okay. There's a recording and you can watch it. But if you have thoughts, you're not your thoughts, very simply. You're not your thoughts. I can guarantee you right now, you've never had a unique thought. Nobody, including myself, has had a unique thought that came from them, really from them. I know because I'm currently trying to become spiritually free. And part of that is that whenever I have a thought, I know it came from me, right? So the reason why I say that is you have these thoughts. I don't know if I should close them. I don't know if I should say this. I don't know if I should say that. Or, before a call, like you were saying, Jim, like having those counter intentions, like, oh, it's not going to go well. It's going to be like every other call. I hope it's not like every other call. I hope they're not angry. You know what? Do the exact opposite of what your mind's telling you because that's your mind. That's not you. It's serving it up. And then you think it's you because you listen to it and you're like, oh, and you start putting your attention towards it. And if you put your attention in your mind, that's where your life force goes. That's where your energy goes. Okay. Because energy flows where attention goes. So if you're putting all your attention on your mind, and your problems and your emotions, those are going to get stronger. If you put your attention on the physical universe around you, then your ability to communicate with it and handle problems in the physical universe will get better. That's why you do the walk every day, right? Get out of your head. Now, very simply, super simple. Okay. If you think, I hope this person is going to be nice, and that's what your thought is, and that's your immediate compulsive thought that pops up on its own, causatively, meaning you do it, think this. I hope it doesn't go well. I hope it goes terrible. Because your mind is constantly hoping for the best. And you see how that works for you. It doesn't work for shit. I hope this person's not, I hope they're really mean. Give it to me. Bring it on. What are you so scared of? Right? Bring the thing that you're worried about to you. Stop trying to run away from it. Because here's the thing if you run away from it, what's it going to do, Jim?
Chase you.
But if you run towards it, what's it going to do?
It will embrace you, man. You will run right through it and own it.
No, it'll run away from you. If
Which,
you
no, okay, interesting. That's another perspective. I always think of it like a cow's in a storm versus a bison or a buffalo in a storm. And cows run away from a storm, so it carries them away and torments them. Bison runs right through the storm and it's over. They just run right through it and it keeps going the other direction and now they're in free and clear.
like that, that's a really smart way to do it. Yeah. Um, that's a great freaking analogy. I guess the thing I was saying is, it's imagine like you're counteracting it. So it attacks you with, I need to be positive, compulsive positivity. I hope this goes well, which if you're saying I hope, you're immediately what? You're afraid and anxious, right? I hope you have no intention. So fuck it. Hope it goes terrible.
Yeah.
Let's
And
see what
you are
happens.
immediately giving control of that to someone or something else.
Yeah, exactly. So you take control and you causatively have the thought. You can either think the bad thought on purpose, and that can help, right? Oh, I really hope it goes bad on or good. I really hope it goes good, right? Or you can do the opposite. Either way, it doesn't matter. The idea is that you break out of the cycle of just having your mind tell you what to think and tell you what to focus on. And instead, you take control. So I really hope I don't go. Bring it on. Make me go broke. Let me see. I'll show you. I can fucking handle it. Bring it on, right? And then what's the mind do? I don't really want to anymore. Oh, come on, mind. Come on. Come on. Make me go broke. I don't really want to. And it scurries away. It gets away from you, right? Because you're taking control. So I agree with you. I don't think we're
I think we're
one of
saying
us.
the same thing, just
Yeah,
differently.
yeah, different perspective, right?
Yeah.
Different way of looking at it. So absolutely.
So let me take a quick minute here, guys, to share with you something that we have coming up in the next week that will be useful for you. That we've put together a program called the Dollars in the Door Live Selling Week. Dollars in the Door Live Selling Week. Fairly straightforward and self-explanatory. The whole objective is that what we see is more often than not, everybody knows how to sell. We don't need to teach you how to sell. This is not a sales training, nor is what we're talking about today. You know how to sell. You have forgotten why it's so important, or you have convinced yourself that there are a whole lot of other things in the way that are actually there. So you've constructed this environment that keeps you from taking all the right actions. And then you will get sales if they're the ultimately most qualified opportunities and they show up ready to say yes, versus structuring your world in such a way that sales just happen every day. And so the Dollars in the Door live selling week is you showing up live power hour sessions every day for the week. And we're going to run you like a sales team. And we're going to challenge you in making sure that you're doing the outreach, getting the right people, making the right offers, collecting on deals, moving people across the finish line, optimizing your calendar the right way so that you are actually producing, has your calendar set up to generate revenue for you, right? And you'll be around other people who are sick and tired of doing it that way and ready to start doing it the correct way. You don't have to be a sales guru or sales rock star to make sales. You just got to take the right actions consistently and relentlessly, and you will win every freaking time. Every freaking time. I had this guy named Russ Smith. I used to have an alarm company, ADT dealership, and we'd go out and bang doors in neighborhoods and uh, and go sell alarms. And Russ was a former infantry military guy. He was the simplest human being I ever met. Not a lot of complex thought to him, but he's a really good guy and just a straight up soldier. And he had a wife with a lot of medical issues, so he had to have medical benefits. And for our company, if you could consistently hang 20 panels, 20 installs a month, you would get benefits. So he would do whatever he had to do to sell 22 just in case two of them canceled. So he would have 20 online at the end of the month so he'd get his benefits. And he didn't have any creativity. He couldn't whiz bang his way through conversations and let charisma take over. He just knew that if I knocked on 100 doors a day, I could have 10 conversations and sell a panel. So come hell or high water, rain, sleet, or storm like the mailman, he knocked on 100 doors a day. And there were certain things that he had to do every day that started when he came to the office, ended when he was out in the field and came back. But these were things that we just put him through some simple paces and systems that allowed him to do what he needed to do to overcompensate for the fact that he wasn't the most charismatic guy, but it was going to reward his effort. And if you're not, I promise you're not as uncreative as Russ, but I don't know if you got enough heart. He may have a heart bigger than you. He may have determination bigger than you. If all you have is great heart and determination, you can do everything we're going to talk about during the live selling week because none of it is rocket science. None of it is guru stuff. It is simply the simple basics, fundamentals that will ensure you do all the right things to structure your environment so that sales happen every day and you'll bring more dollars in the door. So if you want to know more about that, type in dollars in the chat and we'll reach out to you and get you set up and registered on it. We've got some really good deals on that right now. And bottom line is, if you can make a single sale, you're going to ROI on what this thing will cost you to get in the door. Reach out and say dollars in the chat, and we'll get you taken care of.
Do it. Do it. Do it.
Yes, and John will be there. He won't be there every day for the live sessions, but he will be there a couple of them, so he can be spinning some more wisdom with you and keeping you encouraged and motivated and understanding what the mental game plays in all of this. We call it the inner game, right? Because everything you do in your life has an inner game, an outer game, and an action component. Everything. Washing the car. What do you believe about washing the car? Why are you doing it? Why are you irritated that you're washing the car instead of taking it to the place where they wash the car? Whatever it is, there's always an inner game of something. So what do you believe about it? Outer game is what are you doing? Or it's, what outer game is what are the skill sets you have around it. And then the action is what are you doing about it? Right. And so John is going to be chiming in on the inner game of outreach, the inner game of action, the inner game of activities, the inner game of bringing dollars in the door, because there's always an inner game. That's the reason that we don't do it, or is the very reason that you kick butt with it and you're crushing it in life.
That's pretty cool. I like that. I'd go to that. That sounds pretty freaking cool.
Heck yeah, you should all. Because worst thing that's going to happen is you're going to show up on a power hour 1 day a week or 1 hour a day for a week and make a bunch of money in your business. So just show up and freaking do it.
It was a power hour.
It's power hour. At 9 a.m. Pacific time is when it's going to it will start. And I will say this: if you have other meetings on appointment, even if it's something important like a calendar meet, a client meeting on your calendar, call them and reschedule them. They're your client. They probably love you and trust you. And if you tell them you're doing something valuable for your business, they will absolutely accommodate you. So the only excuse you would have to not be there so that you can make more dollars in the door for your business during the live selling week is if you personally are giving a kidney or receiving one and you're going to be in the hospital. Other than that, get your happy behind to the Dollars in the Door live selling week and let us help you make money. Boom.
That again, I second that. That shit's good. No, I love that, dude. Like, if I was a sales rep or a business, oh wait, I mean, I'm a business owner. Um, that that sounds really good. So I would buy that shit right now, and I wouldn't. In fact, I would hold your breath until you do.
Yes.
Yeah, that's what I would do.
Just
Uh,
let us know so that in case you pass out, we know where to find you.
yes. Yeah, life
But
alert.
but get this stuff done, guys. We're just trying to help you win your business. We want you to win. Whether you are a salesperson, whether you're a sales leader and you got a team, bring your team. If you are a founder, get here because you are the salesperson and the team. And then if you want to get your team involved, just let us run your team for a week. Give them just a fresh breath, a fresh perspective, breath of fresh air, doing something different. Get outside the office, quote unquote, for a week and make some money, having fun, win some prizes, do some things because there's some gamification and some things going on that your preparation for the week, you will be earning dollars and money to be able to spend on prizes here. So make sure you show up, or you could just keep complaining about the bad leads, I guess.
Yeah, watch everybody else win. How about that?
Yeah,
Like just like you have been. Yeah, keep watching everybody else win, or go win. It's really simple. You could just cross the bridge. You don't gotta, there's nothing, there's in fact nothing physically in front of you keeping you from crossing the bridge. It's just all of your mental stuff, and you can just cross the bridge.
yeah,
Force yourself to cross the bridge. I don't care,
yeah.
man.
You know,
Power out.
it's
Eat
crazy.
something.
On the campaign that I was talking about, where I, went through like 24 people in 1 day to get 3 people to book an appointment because none of them want to do any kind of outreach at all because they're out there buying the lie that says, I deserve a calendar full of qualified leads at your expense. And so that I can convert all of them so that I can win and hopefully help you win too. But beautiful hallelujah is we just onboarded a rep for that campaign today. He is doing everything already that we teach in the live selling week. And this was the most awesome quote that I heard. He said, "What do you mean they won't prospect?" He said, "How can you even call yourself a closer if you can't turn a cold lead into a great opportunity?" He's like, that's what selling is about, is bringing people in the door and investing your own blood, sweat, and tears in the equity of bringing that person here. So now you're invested in their success. So you will follow up with them, you will work with them, go. Whereas most salespeople are not invested financially or equity wise in whatever it took to get that person into the company, into the environment. So there's no vested interest in them in doing everything they can to swim out to the buoys and pull that person in.
But
So
it's
this is
also the fault to make money. So like that should be your vested interest.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. We're bringing the leads to you. It's just a different, a qualified appointment doesn't equal a lead. But that one of the guys told me that. He's like, oh, I said, you getting leads or appointments? He said, well, what's the difference? I said, well, a vast difference. A lead is the lead that comes in. An appointment is one that's set on your calendar. They're both good and they both have value. And you got to be clear on which one you're working towards. But there's just a lot of things that are broken in the process. So we're gonna continue this conversation, guys. We're gonna be on here a couple more times. We'll let you know, but we'll be on at least one more time next week. And I want to get on here Thursday or Friday this week as well because there's a lot more to say. And I know after people watch this, you're gonna have comments and questions, and then we'll be able to speak more directly to what your comments and questions are about here. But we want to help you get over this so that you can win. Amen. So, what else? What's your parting thoughts here for the day? Some
Uh, go do some cool shit. Go for a walk.
Go
Go
for
for
a
a walk.
walk. Go for a walk. Heck
Yeah,
yeah.
make some money.
Heck yeah. Just think about your own business right now. Think about you. If you're a 1099 salesperson, what does it take for you to see yourself instead of the status of a closer, about the prestige of a professional salesperson, right?
Yeah.
It's like have the prestige. That's my mission is to bring the nobility back to this once great, amazing profession of sales professional, salespeople.
And
And
a sales
guess what
pro
you can
expect
be?
you as a sales pro,
Yes,
right?
exactly.
Like we're actually looking in the mirror. Are you what you say you are? Because if you're not, you're an imposter, right? I already read off the list of what a salesperson does. If you don't do those, you don't have to send cards because, that's not necessarily what people do. Highly recommended.
Yes.
Imagine how easy it would be to close those deals if you sent them a basket for $50 a lead every year, on Easter or whatever. But you are an imposter and you'll feel like an imposter and you'll keep acting like an imposter until you start being a sales professional. And it's okay that you were an imposter in the past. You can stop by just changing your behavior and kind of this thing that Jim's got going on. Mainly because the power hour itself, that's like the coolest thing. Dude, that's the coolest thing you could have added. I love that. I think it's super cool. So I highly recommend doing that. That's my parting words. So you should get out of here and take action and stop listening to people talk and start doing stuff with your life. Okay.
All right.
Yeah.
Thanks for trusting us to be part of your success team. As always, stop fooling yourself because, at the end of the day, you're only fooling yourself. We can all see it. Everybody else can see it. So stop messing around. Let's turn you into a professional and be a valuable contributing member of society, contributing member of whatever business you're a part of, whether it's yours or the one that you belong to. Start taking ownership in it and know that every single prospect that shows up, that comes across your path is there because God trusted you with them to be able to lead them across the finish line to the solution that'll get rid of their problem. So let's go make it happen. Peace. See you on the next one.
Adios.